And I told the Holy Spirit that I was done. I said, I'm done with this life. I don't want it anymore. It's yours. You can have it. I'm Glenn Hasty, and this is my testimony. Before I came to Christ, came to know Jesus, I was full of anger, hate, bitterness, resentment. I carried it all throughout my childhood on into adulthood. I had anxiety so bad that I was scared to death of dying. Like I could make up an excuse of why I had any kind of ailment there was. You know, I could have a chipped tooth and it would be cancer. It would give me anxiety to think about dying and leaving my family, behind. I knew about Jesus and who he was, but I didn't know him personally. He was more of a judicial, like a judge figure instead of a father.
My name is Kristy Hasty. I was saved as a teenager, young teenager, like maybe 13. A friend of mine, we kind of snuck into a church, and the pastor was there, and that's where we learned, and that's where he saved us. Of course, I come from a family that didn't go to church, and to hear that their young daughter snuck into a place with a person, I got in trouble.
Obviously, my wife is awesome, my kids are great, but I couldn't enjoy that because there was always this fog or this something that kept me from enjoying that.
I would watch him with his depression. It would get worse in the winters, and I never knew how to help him. And so I would pray for him to find happiness in his job and his life and his home and everything. And then I would tell Jesus that he needs you, because I can't help him. I don't know what else to do for him.
There was a moment in my kitchen where I was just sitting there, and my youngest, Owen, he came in and he looked at me, and his brow dropped and his head dropped, and he was just looking at me like this. And I was like, why is he so mad at me? What did I do to him? And it was nighttime, and so lit up in my house, and I turned around and I looked at my reflection in the back door, and I could see that my brow was dropped, and I had this constant look of not really anger, but just for lack of better words, anger on my face. And he was mimicking that. And when I caught myself in the mirror or in the reflection in the glass, I'm like, he just acting like Dad.
But I've never been truly educated on the Bible. You grow up learning the basic stories, but as far as knowing the Bible, having a relationship, I didn't really have that.
I didn't realize I was addicted to alcohol. I always told myself I could quit anytime. I could only have a couple, 2 or 3 beers here and there. It wasn't no big deal. That I was in control. Little did I know, by definition, I was not in control. It controlled me. The drinking started out as a social event, something we'd come together. We'd have people over. It'd be a good time. We'd have a few drinks. It'd be on a Friday or a Saturday night, and then we would, go on about our week. And then it slowly started easing into, well, it's almost Friday. It's Thursday, and then Thursday became Wednesday, and then Wednesday became Monday, and so on and so forth. And it became a coping mechanism. It took away from actual living my life. It took away from happiness, because I was pushing happiness away to bring in the coping mechanism.
He has a huge heart, but he has, since I've known him, struggled with the anger, the bitterness, and not just anger, but holding on to childhood anger, holding on to his childhood. I mean, for several years, I talked to him about going to therapy or something just to help let go of that. And I would pray for him often, just when he would have his moments where he's just down the most. And he knew, we would talk, he knew he had so much to be thankful for, but still just not happy. You know, he had a job that he had a schedule that was great. This job gives amazing benefits, and there are people there that love him, but he was miserable, and he would bring it home. And I mean, where else do you turn but to prayer?
Fast forward a little bit, and I'm out in my garage. And my garage, by the way, was being turned into a bar. It was pretty close to done. I was out there one night, and I was just having a few beers and just down. I was just down in every aspect of my life, my job, and among other things. And I was just done. I was done living. I didn't want any part of it anymore. I didn't have a purpose. I didn't know why I was doing the things I was doing. What's the point? Why am I going to work every day to barely make ends meet, to, other than my family and me keeping my family going? I had no other reason. There was no reason to live other than them. So I'm out in my garage, and after all, everything is coming to a head, and everything is just weighing in on me, and heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. It's almost like got to a boiling point, and I've had suicidal thoughts, but I've never wanted to act on anything. I wouldn't do that to my family or any of my loved ones, but I had those thoughts. But without doing anything to harm myself, I didn't know where to go. I didn't know where to turn to. And I didn't know anything about the Holy Spirit. Like I said, I've been taught about Jesus and God and the Holy Spirit and the Trinity, but I didn't understand any of that back then. But I remember I was out in my garage, and I just had enough, and I dropped to my knees, and I threw my hands in the air. And I told the Holy Spirit that I was done. I said, I'm done with this life. I don't want it anymore. It's yours. You can have it. And that was it. Didn't feel anything after that. It was just silence. So a few days went by, and returned to the garage. A few more drinks. I'm out there painting, getting ready to put in the ceiling and finish out my bar. And I'm painting by myself, dead silent, no music, nothing. And I hear this voice come from right back here, nice and soft, and he says, "Stop." And I stopped. And I wondered to myself, is that me? Because I don't know anything. Like I said, at this point, is this me? Is this me talking? I continued to paint. I went on for a few more seconds, and I hear the word "stop." Okay, but now my attention is directed. Like, okay, that's clearly not me, because I'm not, going to tell myself to stop twice. But eager to get the job done, and I was almost done, I kept on. I started painting again, and I heard the word "stop" for the third time. So I stopped and laid my paintbrush down and just listened for a minute. And as I'm listening, face down like I am right now, I look up and I realize what I've done is I've created this shrine to this false god, which is alcohol. I've put this thing ahead of everything else in my life, and it was controlling my life. And in that moment, I realized that my prayer from the previous days had been spoken to. After that, hearing that, of course I didn't know what to do with myself, so immediately I ran back into the house to tell my wife. I was like, this just happened, God has just spoken to me. I'm done. I'm done drinking, and this family needs to go back to church. We need to get back into church.
we talked about going to church again, trying again. Now we have 4 kids. Like, we really need to be a part of something. He was drawn to the Refuge.
We came in and took our seat, and then worship began. Once worship began, we stood up. And from the time that worship started until the time that the word ended, I fought back tears for the entire time. For 2 hours, I was choked up and trying not to just lose it. And every song spoke to me. Every word of the message spoke to me. And I couldn't get out of here fast enough and back home. We got back home. My family unloaded from the van. They went into the house. I went to my garage, shut the door behind me, locked it, and just lost it. Prayed, thanked him, it was wonderful. It was great. We came back the next week, and I was so convicted that I knew I had to be baptized. It had to happen. So I met with Jason on a Wednesday. After his Wednesday service, I met with him, and we set a date for my baptism. And that's when everything really took a turn. And I didn't even realize that at the time. I got in the water, and they laid me down and brought me back up. And it didn't, in that moment, it was just kind of, I was in the moment, and everything was just going in order of how you're supposed to do, the same train of thought when you're going, well, I'm going to get baptized. Okay, I'm coming out. Okay, I'm going to go dry off, Didn't really affect me any. But then the weeks following, it was like, probably not even the weeks, it was probably just one day. It was like a light switch went off. Everything fell off of me immediately. No longer was there depression, anxiety, hurt, resentment, bitterness, none of it. It was all gone.
It's been amazing watching him have that relationship with the Lord and love it and want to share and want our family to grow in that. It's been amazing seeing smiles on his face and seeing his happiness. It's been amazing watching him let go of his childhood and love his family, his extended family, or, outside of our home. But that's not something, the love that I see now is not something I thought I would ever see. Our life has changed at home, at work. I have just grown so much, and I'm learning, I'm reading, and I've had so many prayers answered, even just the smallest prayers. I came to prayer night one night, and I was struggling with finding joy. Life's busy, I just struggling. And so in my prayer, I specifically prayed for joy. I need more joy in my life. And I'm not even kidding. That was a Sunday night. On Monday morning, I get up and I go to work. And as soon as I walk in, I'm a nurse, and in the unit that I work in, we all meet at the nurse's station to figure out where we're going to be. And we have some students there that are going to be observing for the day. And this girl sitting here, and I just looked at her and I said, "Hi," I said, "My name's Kristy. What's your name?" And she said, "My name is Joy." And in that moment, I bust out laughing, and I tell the girls, I'm like, "Y'all are not going to believe this. Like, that is a good one. That is a good one." But it made me laugh. It made me smile. Every time I saw her that day, I smiled, and I thought, how funny is that?
Watching my children, grow in him is one of the best things. Them coming and asking questions and wanting to learn more, about him. Watching them minister to their friends. That's watching that seed. You plant that seed and you just watch it grow out. That's awesome to watch.
My son is a sophomore in high school and carries his Bible to school and reads. May of last year, he decided to get in the water for his allergies, seasonal allergies. They're so bad. They give him, he lives miserable yearly, but he's allergic to grass, trees, weeds. So the summertime, and he's an outdoor kid, has always been completely miserable. He would take allergy medicines in the morning and at night and nasal sprays, and I would have to hold him down and put eye drops in his eyes. They'd just be on fire. He did that. He got in the water in May. All last summer, he mowed 3 to 4 people's grass every weekend. Did not take allergy medicine all summer long, which was amazing. And I didn't even realize it till, it was probably August. And I said, we're getting ready to walk out the door. And I said, Drew, did you take your allergy medicine? I didn't even think anything else of it. And he said, Mom, I haven't taken that since May. I said, what? Why have you not told anybody? That is amazing.
There's so much more peace in my life now since coming to Jesus, knowing that I don't have to worry anymore. That's not mine.